talking about three major segments in the market. One is the money market, second is the capital market, and third is the forex market. Okay, so money market is for short-term investments. As you people know, this is for an investment of less than 1 year. Capital market is for investment more than 1 year, and then again forex market is basically to trade in foreign currencies. Which of the three markets has the maximum volume at global level?
Forex market is
Yes, absolutely right. It is the forex market which has the maximum volume, maximum intraday trading at the global level. Okay. When we talk about these markets, currently our focus is on the capital market. Though we'll be doing all these markets in the coming semester, you have financial system, Indian financial system. So there we'll be talking about money market, capital market with their instruments in detail. Forex market you will be doing in your paper on international economics. So when currently we are focusing on the capital market, and in the capital market we have already studied about the debt market and the equity segment of the market. Okay. So when you are planning to make a long-term investment, you can opt for either of the segments of the market, which is a debt market and an equity segment of the market. Again, when I talk about these sub-classifications, there is a primary market and there is a secondary market. Okay. So primary market, simple meaning. Yes. What is a primary market? What happened? Yes. So primary market is market where the security is issued for the very first time. So basically an IPO or an FPO where you have first time buyers for a security, that is your primary market, which we were talking about yesterday also, that there have been a number of IPOs that have come up in the past few months, and the response has been very good to the IPOs issued. They have been oversubscribed. Okay, a number of IPOs have come. So the primary market is that segment where the securities are issued for the very first time. Once issued, the subsequent trading of those securities takes place in the secondary market segment. Okay, and that applies to both the debt market and the money market. Now, there is one more segment, very important segment in the capital market, which is the derivative segment. This is what we are focusing on in this unit, the derivative segment of the market. Now, derivative segment of the market is a little higher level segment, and it is basically open to players like hedgers, arbitragers, speculators who have above average knowledge of the market, because it is a comparatively more technical and more risky segment of the market. Okay. When I talk about the term derivatives, then by definition we say that derivatives are financial instruments that derive their value from an underlying asset. Okay. Now, what do we mean by this definition? Now, say for example, I will take a very simple example to understand this concept. Say today I am interested in purchasing shares of a company, and the shares of that company today are available in the market at rupees 1000 per share. Now there are two segments in the market. You have a spot market, and then again you have a future market, which is for future settlement. What is the trading cycle in the spot market? What is the trading cycle in the spot market? What do we mean by the spot market? Where the settlement takes place in T plus 2 days. So T is the date of transaction, and then additional 2 days are given for the settlement of the cash flows and delivery of the share. Delivery in the sense the credit of the securities from one demat to one demat account and debit from one demat account. Now, say for example, you're buying shares on Monday, so the entire transaction will be settled by Wednesday. If there's some holiday in between or a Saturday, Sunday, then those days are not counted in this T plus 2 settlement cycle. Okay. Now today I am interested in buying these shares. Say let's take a simple example, say of Infosys, and these shares are available at rupees 1000 per share in the spot market. Now, I don't want to hold these shares today. What I am planning is that I need these shares after 2 months or say after 3 months. So, and I go to the market today, I get a contract wherein I am entitled to purchase these shares after 3 months for rupees 1000 per share. Okay. So, say I am getting a contract where after 3 months I'll get these shares of Infosys Limited at 1000 per share. Okay. Now today my contract is having no value because the shares are available at the same price which is mentioned in my contract, that is rupees 1000 per share. Okay, so today it is not having any value. It's just a, hypothetically let's say, it's just a piece of paper for me. Okay, now after 3 months there are a number of fluctuations in the price of this particular security, and say after 3 months the spot rate in the market is 1100 per share. Okay, now this contract gives me, entitles me to buy these shares, same shares, for rupees 1000 per share. Okay. Now, when others in the market will be purchasing this share at 1100, I will be purchasing this share at 1000. So, my contract, say I have 100 securities, okay, to purchase, and I am making a profit of 100 on each of these security. 10,000 becomes my profit from the contract. So when others are purchasing this share at 1100, I have the entitlement to purchase these shares at rupees 1000, thereby making a profit of 100 per share, and on 100 shares I make a profit of rupees 10,000. The value of this contract now is abhi Devansh, I am taking a simple derivative contract. We'll move into forwards and futures, okay, and all these classifications later on. Just the introductory concept, okay. So, and then we'll talk about the difference in the trading cycle also there. Okay. So, yes, the value of this contract, which was zero in the spot market 3 months ago, today stands at 10,000. So, this contract, which was a derivative contract, has derived its value from the price movement in the underlying asset. Okay, so definition says that it derives the value. So in the spot market, the value was zero. By the time we reach the maturity point of the contract, my contract has derived a value of 10,000 and hence is valuable and is a profitable investment for me. So derivatives are contracts which are deriving their value from the underlying asset. Now this underlying asset in our case was a stock. It can also be a commodity. It can also be a forex currency. It can be a currency contract. Okay, it can also be interest rate. You can also have interest rate derivatives, though there are some high level concepts. But what we are focusing right now are on the stock derivatives. Okay, so let's come to the introduction part. Risk is a characteristic of all commodity and capital markets, and the prices of the securities they fluctuate. To avoid that risk, to hedge that risk, we can use a derivative contract. As you can see here, it is a financial security whose value is derived, as I told you, from a underlying asset or group of assets. It is a contract between two or more parties based on an asset. By locking in the asset prices, they minimize the impact of fluctuation in asset prices on the profitability and cash flow situation of risk averse investors. Okay, now derivative contracts they help you enter into a price fixation today for a settlement in the future. Okay, now price is decided today, but the actual money exchange takes place in the future. The settlement of the contract, the delivery of the stocks, they take place in the future. Today, when you enter in the contract, you are paying a very minimal amount. Okay. Again, depending on the type of contract you are entering into, say if you are entering into a future contract, there's some margin requirement. There might be cases like in a forward contract where you're not paying anything. So, as compared to the spot market, the actual payment that is being made today to enter into contract is very low. Okay, that enables many people who are not able to access the spot market to enter into this segment of market, and it enables them to trade in these underlying assets. Okay, so this again also helps them to trade with minimum investment. Okay, and they are able to minimize the impact, as we said, of fluctuation in asset prices also. Okay, to understand this, let's take an example of say there's an importer and exporter who are entering into a contract. Say the exporter is sitting in US and the importer is sitting in India. Okay, now they enter into a contract to import certain goods which will be leaving US, say on today's 8th of October, and they'll be reaching India on 8th of December. This consignment will be reaching India by 8th of December, and the exporter has given this much credit period to the importer, which means that the payment which needs to be made, say it is $10,000, it needs to be paid on by 8th of December. Okay. Now, when the both the parties entered into the contract today, what is the exchange rate? Rupee dollar. What is the exchange rate? Any idea? Has rupee appreciated or depreciated over the past few months? No idea. None of you is following the currency movements. How is our currency performing? Okay, good. Yes, 73.3. So, say let's take it for the time being, let's take a round figure of 73. Okay, and there has been an appreciation in the Indian rupee because some time back it had fallen to around 75, 76 rupees per dollar also. Okay, so now we are taking that on the date of contract, that is today on 8th of October, the exchange rate in the market rupee dollar rate is rupees 73 per dollar. Okay, now the importer has two options, either to purchase these dollars today. Okay, so which means pay 7,30,000, get your $10,000, keep them with you, and after 2 months make the payment to the exporter. Second option is to wait till 8th of December, whatever be the market spot price on that date, purchase the dollars and make the payment. But obviously, waiting for 2 months means you are risking yourself because there might be two cases. Now, very rarely will the spot price in the market be equal to 73 rupees on 8th of December also. There are two possibilities. Say it improves, the Indian currency appreciates to 72 rupees per dollar, or there is a possibility, say, Trump winning the US elections, what impact will it have on the rupee dollar rate? What are you expecting? Trump gets a majority in the presidential election, so how will the markets be impacted? Anyone? Okay, dollar will appreciate. Yes. Any other guesses? How are you expecting the global markets to react? So dollar supremacy will prevail again. So even when it was announced that Trump had COVID, which he still has, so there was a negative impact in the market. And once he reached back the White House and announced that there's no need to be afraid of corona, then again that had a positive impact on the market. Okay, so we take this verdict by Kashish that dollar will increase, okay, which means dollar will appreciate vis-a-vis the Indian rupees. So hypothetically, December possible immigration change, huh? So that will in any case happen. He is becoming very strict with all these laws, and especially जो H1B visas हैं. Okay, he's operator. Anything happen to him? Yeah. So that way he's very smart. He has a proper control on the market, and all these are gimmicks which he has before the media. So if you would have seen the presidential debate also, very aggressive personality. How many of you watched the presidential debate? Okay. How many of you watched the presidential debate? Okay. So what was your opinion? Only Kashish was. None of you. You should follow all these developments, yes, at the global level because they all have an impact. What is the uh, preference pattern going on? What is the lead expected by any of the candidates? That all has impact on our markets also. Okay, so it's not only the elections in India which reflect on the BSE or NSE, but these developments at the global level also have an impact. So if a corona vaccine comes, it is approved, it will have a positive impact. Okay, but halting of trials like the one that has happened will always have a negative impact. Okay, so he's a capitalist, conservative, aggressive, yeah, very aggressive. He was arguing with the moderator also. So yes, uh, as a personality, he's very aggressive, but chances are that he'll win. Yes, so let's see what happens. This is something to look out for. But let's say hypothetically he has won the election and by 8th of December the dollar increases to 73 rupees per dollar. So now you can see that our Indian rupee has depreciated and the dollar has appreciated, and I make it 74, sorry, 73 was the spot rate in the market. Okay, now for the same $10,000 payment, the Indian importer will have to make a cash outflow of 7,40,000. Okay, so now there is both an upside risk and a downside risk. To avoid that risk, to hedge that risk, the Indian importer can enter into a derivative contract. For the time being, I am taking a nomenclature which is generalized. I'm not dividing it further into which type of contract I am talking about, but he enters into the derivative contract wherein he is locking the price of dollar at rupees 73.10 per dollar. Now, when you are entering into a simple derivative contract, you are obviously on the basis of expectations about the future movements, you are paying some premium to enter into that contract. Okay, so by entering into the derivative contract by locking in the price today at 73.10, the importer is assured that this is the payment. 7,31,000 is the payment I'll be making after 2 months, irrespective of what has been the price movement in the market. Okay, then again, depending on the contract, your actual settlement takes place. Say the actual price in the market on 8th of December comes out to be 73.50. Okay, these were the expectations. This is the actual price. Now, if you have entered into this derivative contract, you are gaining 40 paisa on every dollar at the time of settlement of the contract. Again, this can go in the opposite direction also. Okay, but what have you done by entering into this derivative contract? You have hedged your risk. You have minimized your risk by blocking in the price of settlement. Okay, so this is what happens in a derivative contract. Today, you are entering into a contract to make settlement of the contract at a future date, locking in the prices today, but the actual exchange of cash flows. Again, cash flows as such are not exchanged, it is the difference which is settled on the due date of the contract. Okay, so uh, that again, depending on the contract, I'll explain when we are taking all these contracts in detail. तो डिफरेंशियल सेटलमेंट होता है, एक्चुअल में आप बाय या सेल नहीं करते डेरिवेटिव मार्केट में, जो पार्टी प्रॉफिट अर्न कर रही होती है काउंटर पार्टी उसको पेमेंट कर देती है उतनी. अगर फ्यूचर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है तो सम ऑफ यू नो देन दैट इज अगेन settled on daily basis, उसमें margin settlement होती है. So ultimately you get the difference in the contract. Okay, what profit have you earned, or if you have made a loss, that will be debited from your account. Okay, the most common underlying assets are stock, bonds, commodities, currencies, and market index. Even index derivatives are very popular, which are based on the movements of the underlying market index. And then commodity market derivatives, some examples are given in the last one. Okay, moving further, we come to the types of derivatives. Depending on the nature of trading in the market, you have an OTC market. OTC is over the counter market, and you have exchange traded derivatives. Now, what is an OTC market? You are privately negotiating the contracts. Okay, there are two counterparties who, through their sources, they are entering into a contract to settle, to buy or sell, say, securities, or buy or sell some forex. So this contract is not involving any intermediary. Stock exchange is not intermediating in between. This is a private contract, and hence it is a customized contract. Depending on the requirements of the parties involved, you can frame the terms and agreements of the contract. So everything is customized. There is no intermediary. If there's no intermediary in between, it is not being regulated by the stock exchange. There's no clearing house involved. Then obviously the risk of the contract is very high. Okay, the chances of default are high as compared to an exchange traded derivative contract, because there you have stock exchange, you have a clearing house of stock exchange which is guaranteeing the settlement of the contract. Okay, in terms of derivatives, your forward contracts are OTC contracts. These are the derivatives we'll be doing in detail. And then your futures and options, जिसको हम F&O बोलते हैं. Futures and options are exchange traded derivatives for which you have proper clearing house, and then some margins are charged on these contracts which ensure the settlement of the contract. They act as a guarantee for the contract. Okay. So this working, how it takes place, we'll be doing in detail when we are taking up each of the derivatives. Coming to the next classification of derivatives, as I told you, we'll be talking about future, forwards and options in detail. यहाँ पर एक और derivative contract है swap. I'll just give an introduction. Swaps and especially forex swaps will be taken care of in the next semester. So I'll just give you an overview of swaps in this unit. Otherwise, the detailed working we'll be seeing in the next semester. Okay, so as I told you, a forward contract is a contract where OTC contract, over the counter contract, wherein two parties, buyer and seller, they decide today at what price will they buy or sell securities at a future date. Okay, so the exchange price is decided today, but the actual settlement will take place in the future. Since it is an over the counter contract, there is no guarantee of settlement. So generally what happens is that both the parties, they know each other in these kind of contracts, and these parties have some surety, some background check of the credibility of the other party, and only then do they enter into this contract. But yes, then again, as compared to exchange traded contracts, they have a very high risk. And what about liquidity? Will OTC contracts have more liquidity or exchange traded contracts? इसमें liquidity ज़्यादा होगी. Yes. If I talk about, say, a forward contract, which is OTC contract, and a future contract, which is exchange traded, which will have more liquidity class. Yes, राइट एक्सचेंज ट्रेडेड जो भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा क्योंकि उसके लिए राइटली अवेलेबल मार्केट है उसमें लिक्विडिटी ज्यादा होगी ओके तो उसमें रिस्क भी कम होगा और उसमें लिक्विडिटी भी ज्यादा होगी दोज कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स विल बी स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड इस लॉट में आप फ्यूचर्स बाय कर सकते हो ऑप्शंस बाय कर सकते हो दैट इज प्री डिसाइडेड बाय द स्टॉक एक्सचेंज ओके सो से आप 1000 के लॉट्स में परचेज कर रहे हो तो 1500 अगर आपको शेयर्स चाहिए तो यू विल हैव टू ईदर गो फॉर वन लॉट और टू लॉट बट the customization is not possible which is then possible in case of a forward contract okay so future as I told you that involves exchange in between and again, one of the important characteristics of future contract is that they are settled on daily basis. Okay, through the MTM, which is marking to market. Okay, so how that works, we'll take up. But the settlement takes place, it is a zero sum game. Profit of one party is the loss of the counterparty. देन ऑप्शंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में क्या होता है आपको राइट मिलती है बट नॉट द ऑब्लिगेशन टू परफॉर्म द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सो इट इज योर चॉइस वेदर यू वांट टू कंप्लीट द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट और नॉट in case of option contract and last is a swap wherein you are exchanging the cash flows forward futures and options we'll do in detail for swap for the time we understand that the counterparties that is the buyer and seller they are exchanging certain cash flows again interest rate swaps very popular therein you are exchanging the interest related cash flows और currency swaps में आप interest flows के साथ साथ principal amount भी exchange करते हो दोनों जो cash flows होते हैं वो अलग अलग currency में होते हैं okay so we'll stop here today tomorrow onwards we'll take up each of the derivative contract with the detailed working okay any question anyone